What's up, guys? Welcome back. This week we're going to show you the black truck, and we got a bunch of updates on a bunch of cool stuff in the shop, so come check it out. All right, so here it is, the black Prerunner. We haven't came up with a catchy name for it yet, so it's a black truck, so we just call it the black Prerunner for now. Yeah, this one's got, just realized it has way too much to pretty much cover in one episode, so we'll just kind of loosely go through it and talk about it a little bit. But back here you see it's got our radius fuel cell. This one's all powder coated black. It's got all Linexed floor basically for the two tires to sit in here. Also gives a nice soft cushion for where the fuel cell sits, so it won't be sitting there chafing on metal to metal or anything like that. It's got our billet bedside mounts that we make. Some backup lights tucked in over there. You can see it just came back from wiring, so there's a bunch of stuff just kind of loosely floating around here. It's got our spare tire hooks like I showed you on the other truck. We also added in a tow hitch kind of receiver. Obviously you won't be towing with it, but it does have a hole here, so you'll be able to put like a tow strap or something in there, or build a rack on the back of this thing for a dirt bike or something I think he was saying he might want to do on here. So we just added that for that stuff. It's got our billet fuel cell hold down. It's got the dual in-tank pumps with the all plumbed with the Earl's crimp fittings. A bunch of panel work on this thing. One of my favorite parts in the back half is this shock mount. It's this from here to here is all CNC machined billet 4130 chromoly. So it started out as about an 80-pound block of steel, and we got it down to about 11 pounds. So still a little heavy, but I just really wanted to do that. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do billet shock mounts like that before, so it was something that I really wanted to do, so that's why we did it. See in here, there's another tank. That is for the shower, so it will have a shower handle hookup in the back to where you can, this guy, the guy that owns it's a surfer, so he can, be out in Baja, go surfing or whatever, and get out of the water, shower off, and get back in the truck. But you see our battery mounts tucked in here. It's got a bunch of oil coolers. So here's the oil cooler on the back, tranny cooler here, and they're a double wide setup. You notice they're black. This is actually a thermal heat displacement coating, so this helps pull heat out, and it looks just a little better than the raw aluminum. We didn't really want to leave anything raw on this thing just because of where he lives and where he's going to be taking this thing. So that's why we went the extra step on that. And it's got our fabricated 55-inch trailing arms. Those are our latest of the fabricated version of the billet ones. You can see here, back walls all Linexed in here. Nice bolt-on bedside mounts, big 3040 King shocks. It's got the bolted bumps. It's got all RPI 12-point hardware for every single pivot point on the entire truck. So best of the best there with the hardware. It's got a Curry 9-inch rear end with a Gearworks 10-inch third member. It's got our billet aluminum upper links, and you notice like all the aluminum on this thing is kind of like a raw look. So it was raw aluminum and then polished and then acid dipped and then clear anodized. So quite a few steps to get to that look right there. But that's kind of the look we wanted, just kind of like not like a dull, but just kind of even aluminum look with some protection with the clear anodized. So that's pretty cool. Did the same thing with the beadlock rings there, same coating. We had to switch out all the bolts there for ARP 12-point stainless bolts. You can zoom in on this paint too. You kind of see it's not just black. It's kind of got that little bit of metallic to it. So we didn't just want a regular black, and it kind of matches with the powder coat. It's kind of both got a little metallic in them. And there we go. One of the AC lines right there. So yeah, we still got to finish plumbing the AC and stuff. So there's still a bunch of plumbing and other work that needs to be done, but take a look in here. Just got back from wiring, so that's why there's a bunch of boxes of parts everywhere. But this one's running Motec PDMs. It's got 2 switch panels, so we decided to step it up and go with the Motec. And it's also running a big Hale 12-inch digital dash over there. It's got a big 9-inch GPS right here. It's got our hoon handle in the same raw, clear anodize. Look right here. Can't really open it right now, but I'll get this stuff out of the way. Oh, and here's that dash that this thing's running. So this is the gauge that goes in the dash. It's a big 12.3 inch Hale unit, so super cool. You can monitor everything with this, so stoked to be running this in the truck. And then back here you see this panel on the floor. It's actually storage. So we got jumpers right there for the battery. So if you get a dead battery, we can jump it from right there instead of crawling up underneath. And there's another foot storage right here on your foot panel. So there's a panel that goes here on a hinge, and that's a whole nother storage right there. So we wanted to utilize as much space as we could in this to have storage and things like that. And then here you see the seats are on sliders. This one isn't bolted in right now, but I could show you on that side. The seats are actually on an electric slider, so they move 6 inches forward or back. So quite a bit of movement out of those. And you can see the whole inside and rockers are all Line-X'd. This and the back wall's Line-X'd. You won't be seeing much of that though, because this thing will go to interior, and the dash, the console, headliner, carpet, everything is getting upholstered in this truck. So it's going to be a full, like luxury Prerunner, nice interior like you'd find on a OEM vehicle. So it'll be super nice. Moving along up front, it's got our, this is a 2004 Chevy, by the way. I don't think we even told you what it was. But it's got our 99 to 06 long travel kit, coilover bypass. Bypass isn't in right now. It's got the bump off the upper arm. It's got a LS3 stroker in it, so it's a 418 stroker. You see this cool front accessory drive here. It's got the ID Designs Prerunner package on the front, so it runs a big 270 amp alternator over here on the top, and then the other side on the top runs the AC compressor. So super nice package from ID Designs, and it runs a big 8-rib belt, so won't have to worry about flipping any belts on this thing. You see it's got the Hale intake and throttle body. On this one I needed a little more room, so I actually cut the intake back, and then we machined our own flange for it, and then I welded it back together, and then I welded the inside as well, and then I ported it so it has a smooth intake still. And this will be running dual intakes to air filters over here. Front end, you'll see it's a little different. This is like a 2015 Tahoe grill and headlights. So it's a little different front end. We want to do something a little different with this body style. Like Corporate Cruiser, Cop Cruiser, all have the same front clip. So we want to do something different on this one. And I think we achieved that with this front end. You can see the chassis also. I think I covered that. This is all powder coated. We powder coated this whole thing as one piece all together. You can see the power steering solutions, power steering cooler reservoir up front. We even got a little temperature sender on it, big CBR radiator. You can see these coolers are also coated in the same black as the rear. Custom headers, exhaust. I mean, this thing's got everything. You look at all the electrical too. We had Mark, the wire guy, did, everything's labeled, everything's legit. So the whole truck is wired like this. So definitely worth the money to get your Prerunner or race truck wired like that. This whole front end also tilts forward. So you pull these pins and the front end will tilt forward. But yeah, billet engine crossbar on there. We machined just for this truck. We machined the parts that the cross member bolts to, so it all kind of flows in the chassis as one piece. We got a single windshield wiper setup we're putting on it. We spend hours going into every detail on this thing, but I think we covered enough of it for this episode. But you'll be seeing a bunch more of this in the upcoming weeks, so stay tuned. All right, back on the tube chassis truck. You can see we got a bunch more tubes in here than what you saw last time. We got all the roof tubes in place. They're all just kind of tacked in every corner. We got the whole back wall in place. The center's all double passed, the middle's double passed. All these corners are double passed. This tube is just not even tacked in there, and it's pretty solid in there. But double passed all these corners. All these tubes are done. I got to root pass the roof, finish double passing everything. We got all the center console tubes in. We're gonna add another tube probably right here. Once we figure out or finalize all of our front layout, there'll probably be a tube coming into here somewhere. So we'll continue that to there, but we'll figure that out once the front's done. So this is all the center console tubes just kind of tacked in right now. And then moving on to the back half, you can see we got some more fixtures here, and we got the fuel cell cradle in place. We already had this welded, sitting on the shelf, ready to go. So that just dropped right in. You can see the fixtures, we changed our mind. Instead of sliding this whole truck forward off the front of the table to get the back on, we just made these extensions here and here. So the back just kind of floats off the back of the table, and it lines right up in the fixtures where it needs to be. So that locks that in. Up next, we are fitting some of these tubes. This one, we just forgot a little notch in the computer, so just have to take that out of there and get that in place. But coming along pretty good. This is the first tube that will go in when we start the back half. So it's a pretty long one. You can see it goes all the way down to that corner, ties in over there. So before this goes in, I'm gonna double pass, root pass and double pass all of the back of these tubes. And then, because that tube kind of caps over right here and kind of covers all those. So start with that one, then we'll do the other side of the X to this corner, and then a bunch of other tubes go in there and tie everything in. But yeah, as you can step back and see it, it's kind of almost looking like a complete chassis now. So kind of see what it's going to look like. It's pretty cool. Excited to get the rest of this thing all burned up and all the tubes fit. You can see we still have them all. They're all ready to go. So we also have the fuel cell for this thing as well. We have mock-up motor and tranny we'll be putting in it next. We got a dry sump coming from Daily Engineering. That'll be going on the LSX. Got another front drive from ID Designs on the way for this thing as well. So they have their complete front drive system with dual alternators. Yeah, and the other day we mocked up a seat in there as well, and we kind of got a rough seat placement. And we took all those measurements and put them in the computer, so now we can just CAD draw all the seat mounts and just get all those tubes and just be able to put them in without hand making any of the seat tubes. So that'll save us some time there. Yeah, next time you see this will be all one piece and probably get all these fixtures out of the way. So stay tuned for that one. All right, back on the Sandcars Unlimited, you can see there's a bunch more going on back here since the last time you saw it. Cade's finishing up a couple brackets on the intercooler mount. I whipped up these headers last couple days. It's been about 6-7 years since I built the set. Really wanted to give it another shot. So I got all these stainless bends and flanges, and yeah, came up with these. Pretty happy with it. I want to do something a little different. You know, most buggies just kind of come out and shoot out the side. But I want to do something kind of cool looking and still be able to get some horsepower out of these things. But nice swoop design. They're all 1 7/8. Decided to go with the up sweep and then run the tube down at the bottom. X-pipe merge in the back, and then it's going to come out. It's going to come right here and then come out the back panel. So pretty cool. Something a little different from what you're used to seeing on sand cars. So yeah, we got a bunch of aluminum panels. They're all done. We put a big mesh panel right here in the side to breathe some of this hot air. All the back panels get mesh for all that hot air to come out. We whipped up an intake for it, big 4.5-inch intake with this big, huge K&N filter. So it's all mounted solid there. We're gonna build a heat shield around about 30-40% of it right here, just to keep hot air, if you're parked or something, from coming up through the intake. You know, you want to keep that intake air temp as low as you can get. Yeah, once I'm done with the exhaust, I gotta plumb up a couple of these coolers with our Earl's crimper and hose again, and then this thing's pretty much ready to fire up. So it's gonna leave just like this, all raw. All the panels are raw, and then he'll bring it back at a later date. We'll powder coat everything and get the headers ceramic coated and do all that kind of finish detail work. But coming along pretty good. So I'm gonna finish up this exhaust and then pull it all out, bench weld it all, purge it all, and then bolt it right back on. Mocking up the exit here. My original plan was to do something kind of out of the top, but straight off of the X pipe here with a couple bends through this back panel, I was able to get something kind of like that. I'm just working on the design on the tip cut right now. Kind of like how I did on the F500. Seen that one? It's got a little, you know, scalloped cutout, kind of like that. So that's what we're doing right now. All right, so here's that tip we're working on. You can see, got a little rough cut on it right now. I might sharpen up the top a little bit, or I might leave it a little flat spot like that. But basically, to get to this point, I started out with a U-bend. So I took all that material, basically cut it in half, rotated it up at the angle I wanted, and then welded this. I didn't purge this because I just added this one part right here just for aesthetics on the exhaust exit. So I didn't purge it. I'm gonna polish out all the inside anyway, so that's fine. But yeah, everyone always asks where I buy these. I make them like this per truck as needed. So yeah, I'm gonna fine tune this thing a little bit and then get it tacked on the car so I can weld that whole system up. Everyone knows who this is. That's Joe from Jag 10. That's where everyone gets all their cool stuff from. And I was just saying, I get all these things from that guy, which makes my life a lot easier for making things like this. So you can see I got an array of different air tools with different ends on them to make my life easier doing stuff like this. So couldn't do it without you, Joe. Thank you. Oh, damn it.
Spit on it.
Nope, too big. Joe, I need a smaller one. All right, so here's that tip I was showing you I was working on. Here we go. And it goes in there like so. Lines up with that X pipe, and then it'll be somewhere around there. So like I said before, I changed my mind on where I wanted it to exit, but we have this mesh cut out already. So we'll just cut out the mesh around here, and then this will still be mesh right here, and then the exhaust will just be poking out right there. So now I got this one done and established. I'm gonna move on to the other side to get that side done, get it all tacked together, pull it all out as one piece, and then finish weld it and then put it right back on. All right, back here on the IFS Jeep, we got a cool little custom light bar bracket we made. The owner wanted this Baja Designs light to be no higher than the roof, and he wanted it kind of mounted on here with some little heims and stuff. So we came up with this cool little idea. A little stabilizer here. You can still adjust it up or down. Machine this little spacer for here. So kind of over-engineered a light bar bracket, but you know, it's solid. It ain't moving anywhere. So because it sucks when you're hitting bumps and that thing's kind of bouncing around. So super solid mount, and really happy with how it turned out. And no, we're not going to make them. That's just one off for this truck. So yeah, we're in the middle of making water lines for this thing right now, and almost done with all the wiring and stuff. We still gotta get this all painted. Still not sure how I want to do it yet. We might end up just pulling the motor and the front diff and taping it all off and spraying it the right way. So yeah, I'm sure you'll see more of that next time. All right, small little update on gray truck here. We got the can see the motor and trans is out. We got the trans mount all 100% done. You can see we did some threaded bosses and boxed it into this junction right here. So it came out super cool, super strong. Very happy with that. You can see all the seat mounts are done. We started doing some sheet metal in the back. You can see these panels right here, just tacked in right now. Just trying to seal off this back wall and start moving our way forward to try to get the cab of this thing just 100% sealed off. And do a little top panel up here. Evan's doing a bitchin' job on all these. Got some nice bead rolls and just details in all the panels. So coming out pretty cool. Just we're gonna get all the, pretty much from here back done, and then we'll weld all that out and probably leave this open for a little while until we finalize our secondary alternator on the transmission. So yeah, we're gonna just finish from here back, and then also in the back started all the aluminum panels. So Evan got to jump on all those. They're all just kind of roughed out, clamped in place right now. This one turned out a little different because these top tubes are bent, and we bent these to get the bigger radiator in here. So this panel is actually going to be straight right here and just kind of end in the middle of the panels there. Usually we panel straight to the tubes, but we're going to do our big top filler panel like we did on the Tundra. So that will cover all of this, and then you'll just see the shocks kind of poking through right here. And then this space will get mesh cut out in this big open area right here to allow some more air passage through to the radiator transcooler combo. So yeah, we're just trying to get the back half of this thing pretty much 100% done, and then start doing some of the plumbing and start getting a bunch of the little things just finalized. And then got to pull the rear end out, send it back to Tube Works. They're going to weld the snouts in and then do any sort of straightening or adjustments that they need to do. And then they machine the faceplate and then put all the studs in for the third member. So if you notice here, there's this panel here to seal this off. But if you also look on the outside, there's also one on the back. We chose to do one on each side just so it has a more finished look. So you imagine if that panel wasn't there, it just kind of, and just an unfinished edge of that stock window frame and then to the tube. So we wanted to clean it up. So we added one on the inside and outside just for aesthetics. And then same thing here, this guy and this guy, we added because it looked like if you look there, how it's just we paneled the inside of the car on that part. And we didn't want to leave like a cavity in this bottom corner for like rocks or anything to build up or mud or anything like that. So we just made this little strip right here and just added that in just to keep that edge from packing full of mud and stuff. This gives it a nice finished look. And when this thing's all done, this whole back wall will get Line-X, sprayed with Line-X to help with sound deadening and just kind of clean everything up. So it'll have a nice finished look when it's all finished. Chase, what are you working on?
I'm working.
Chase, what are you working on?
Great.
Nope, no pressure. No pressure.
All the pressures. Right now we're getting these new hood latch, hood holder downer thingies, all set up right here. Got rid of the old ones, all beat and used, and
You talking these weren't gonna work? Look at all the rust falling out. But yeah, so these are what, like new Jeep style ones, right?
yeah.
So I think so. Yeah, there you go. What have you been doing up here with the bumper?
Just some bumper stuff. We did a
Bumper stuff.
Bumper stuff. Right here we have some bungs for the faceplate for the winch to go on, like so. There you go.
Actually looks pretty cool. Yeah, and then the Baja Design single row light goes right under it. And then we added this little section of tube here. Obviously you can see one side's a little different from the other. We needed clearance on the pitman arm here, but I wanted to do this so we had protection on the steering box and the sector shaft here, you know, if you're coming up any rocks or anything. So we'll do a skid plate right here, like a laser cut skid plate with our logo probably in the corner or something like that, but just something clean and sleek. And I just really wanted to get some protection right here. But yeah, it's looking pretty cool. We got the front axle out, rear axle's out. Next, we're gonna pull the whole front end off, pull the cab off, do a couple things with the motor and trans mounts, and then this whole thing's going to powder coat, and then yeah, and it's gonna stay green. I'm gonna powder coat everything new. The inside of the cab's gonna get Line-X'd 100%, and then it'll all still be green and shitty looking, and everything underneath will be nice and shiny.
There you go.